All right, so Weikang, you've built this big consortium to do this project, and tell us a little bit about the partners and also the funding that you received from the Department of Energy, which was a huge grant and something that obviously tell us about the impact that that had on ExPost and the technology that you've developed, and yeah, and about the partnerships you formed.
Sure, yeah. Let me start from why DOE is funding this direction. So according to DOE's projection, based on many data analysis, definitely in the US we need the EV batteries, and the cobalt is one of the essential element to make the cathode active materials, which will be used in battery manufacturing. So where US can get more cobalt, that's always a question. So currently, almost 90% or even more cobalt is from DRC, under developed country in the South in Africa, and there are a lot of issues associated with the cobalt mining there. And a good news in the US is that a lot of people just have consumer electronic, and you can easily find the lithium cobalt oxide batteries inside your consumer electronics. And according to the projection, if everyone just push the consumer electronic into the recycling stream, then the US will have enough cobalt even till 2030, 2040. There's no lacking cobalt issue. So DOE said, okay, what's the obstacles? Why people are not returning the consumer electronics? Why they are not willing to do that? Of course, under the same portfolio, we have projects funded by DOE trying to encourage people to return those consumer electronic batteries. We also have projects, let's say, for our project, how to how to make the transportation of batteries or battery recycling more economic, how to make it more efficient and cost effective. We even have more projects in the downstream, how to analyze if there is enough cobalt and how we extract the cobalt from the battery shreds or from the black mass created during the recycling process. So overall, it's all about the element. It's about a resource. They really want to secure enough cobalt resource inside the U.S. And of course, in other world, DOE wants to the general public to join the recycling effort. So it's good for the environment. It's also good for the whole country. So that's why in the whole scenario, we're getting funding to work on this specific topic. And as for the consortium we're forming, so we do have different companies. We have a non-profit organization. We have universities. We have national labs. Specifically, I want to mention that we are honored to work with UL Research Institution, which has extensive experience on battery safety and battery recycling topics. So they are providing more insights into this project, how we can handle the batteries with a safety manner. And also we are working with Argonne National Lab, so they are helping us analyzing the residues from our process to see if the residue can fulfill in a safe transportation. And also we are working with three universities, including University of Chicago, University of California, San Diego, and the University of Tennessee. So all these universities are helping us to shape the project in a proper way. For example, we're talking about VOC control, we're talking about waste control. But first of all, we really need to understand what we are dealing with and what we are producing through this whole process. And a lot of categorizations will be performed to understand the materials inside this project. And of course, we also are very happy to work with Carbon Critical. Their expertise on extraction will definitely help a lot, and also their expertise on machine designing will help us really make this project a very successful one. So that's the background and how we formed the consortium.
I was reading about a very similar problem that the United States faces to the problem of cobalts just disappearing in the form of waste batteries, and then nobody knows where it goes. And there's another very similar analogous problem, which is the penny. And it turns out that the US Mint, because pennies are used in circulation, but nobody people receive pennies in change, but nobody ever uses pennies to pay because it's too inconvenient. It's not worth the effort of counting out your pennies or saving them, or you don't want to walk around with them in your pocket or in your wallet. Um, so pennies are given out all the time, but because there's no real incentive to use them as currency, because they're worth so little and they're so bulky, they're continually disappearing. They go into jars, they go into drawers, people just throw them in the trash. Um, and I think, when I was listening to Wei Kang speak, it just struck me, ooh, this is just like the penny. It's this thing which we have to have, it's part of our currency, but to the recipient of the penny, it has no value at all. Once you've received it, you've gotten your change, so the transaction's complete, and functionally, pennies just disappear all the time, and so you constantly need to make new ones. And um, you know, it's a good analogy, but I wouldn't say there's like a ready solution to the penny problem. The proposal is to just not have pennies. Uh, in the sense of lithium cobalt oxide batteries, we actually want to get those.
Mm.
And it also gives rise to the idea of a deposit or a fee that is paid at retail to fund collection and recycling efforts. That's not yet in place in the United States, but it's one of the policy solutions that is also being looked to increase the rate of recycling and to improve the domestic supply of materials in the United States. I think the other interesting point, which is sometimes lost or maybe not brought to the forefront in a lot of these discussions, is that unlike say a gallon of gasoline, once you burn the gasoline, it's in the form of carbon dioxide, it's in the atmosphere, you can never get it back in any meaningful way. The lithium and the cobalt and the electrons and everything else that's used in a lithium ion battery energy storage system, every one of those elements is recoverable and recyclable infinitely. And so it's a really important distinction as we move from the hydrocarbon age to the lithium age. The lithium that is the electrochemical energy transfer mechanism is infinitely recyclable. It never goes away. And so the incentive to create a functional and cost-effective circular recycling system is tremendously high. It is foreseeable that at some point we might never mine another gram of lithium or nickel or cobalt. We would have everything we need to power our economy um, indefinitely, just based on a effective circularity. And so, this is the first days, the first years in which this is being thought of and it's being done at some scale, but maybe it's not perfectly economical just yet. But who knows what the world will be in 30 or 50 years? It could be a very, very different world, and we're sort of laying the foundations for what will come in the future.
I just want to extend on that. You're right. It's going to be a different world, but actually it's going to look a lot similar too, because the lead acid battery you buy at the store right now, that lead was mined in the 70s, more than likely, the vast majority of it. So they've got more lead in circulation being recycled than there is actual mining. So this is not entirely new. We can do it. We can do it for lithium ion batteries. Totally doable. And by extension, sodium ion batteries, magnesium ion batteries, all the whole shebang, all those battery materials. So they can go around and around forever. Um, I just wanted to add also, you talked about sort of policy mechanisms where maybe there's a deposit fee, maybe there's some kind of recycling incentive fee that enables this recycling process to work. again, that's been done already in other areas. You've got these kind of eco fees tucked into the cost of all sorts of things, everything from spray cans for aerosols to electronics you buy at Best Buy. I mean, there's little fees in there that fund these collection mechanisms that collect AA batteries, for example. It varies by state, of course, and by country, but these things exist. So we're really building on, I would say, proven models in other areas. This is very doable. And there's just a massive future ahead of us. I mean, if you thought recycling e-waste was big, recycling EV batteries is orders of magnitude bigger.
In terms of lithium battery recycling, as Mike mentioned, it's definitely doable, and we definitely need to do that. The obstacles why it's a relatively low recycling rate is because of the technology. So we really need to work on new technologies to improve the recycling efficiency, lower the cost, and of course they will also facilitate it to a higher recycling rate. And that's what ExPost and as well as a Carbon Critical we are working on this area. We're working in this area.